To receive credit for a certificate of completion for ticket dismissal and/or an insurance discount, you must complete the registration process at WirelessDefensiveDriving.com as required by the Texas Education Agency. You may continue to access this information for entertainment purposes only, but unless you register, you will not receive credit or a certificate for insurance or ticket dismissal.
The following presentation is brought to you by WirelessDefensiveDriving.com.
Welcome back to the lovely Terabyte Theater in downtown cyberspace. Here's your host, Chuck Sheffield.
Hello, panel. Hello, traffic offenders, and hello, Mr. Microphone.
Hello.
Hey, Chuck. How you doing? Welcome to
Hello.
Section 4, where we talk about rules and laws that you should know, but maybe you've gotten a little fuzzy about.
I'm sure we could all use a refresher course.
Right you are. How close to an intersection or railroad crossing are you not allowed to be in the left lane?
Oh, I don't know. And even if I did know, I don't have a car with a measuring tape that pops out of the hood and measures how far back I am from an intersection or railroad crossing. So how are you supposed to know?
Right.
Well, I'll give you a way to remember in a minute. How close? Within how many feet, Judy?
I'll guess 6 feet.
That is so wrong.
Man, I'm not good at numbers.
We give up.
The answer is 100 feet.
Wow, do I get an F?
And here's how you estimate it, Kathy.
Listening.
5 car lengths.
But not stretch limo.
No, average car lengths. When else should you not go over to the left-hand side of the road?
Well, how about when you can't see very far ahead of you, like you're on a hill or a curve?
Perfectly right. Also, not within 100 feet of a bridge, a viaduct, or tunnel.
Some of this stuff is just common sense.
Well, let's talk about safety rules about passing, whether you're going to the left or to the right, because here's the deal. No matter what the laws are, it's not always safe to pass. You should be patient. Judy?
Why are you picking on me? I'm a very patient driver.
Crashes resulting from improper passing can be deadly. So, many lightning rounds.
Uh-oh.
Since you have no noisemakers, make a barnyard noise if you know what word goes in the blank. You ready?
Barnyard noises, indeed. What would my PSL professors at the University of Dallas say?
Here's the first rule. Make certain the way is blank.
I know. Oh, wait. Moo.
Bossy.
Clear. Make sure the way is clear.
Is right. Next, give the blank before changing lanes. Kathy.
The proper signal. You probably thought that I was going to be a smart aleck and say nasty hand gesture.
I would have never thought that. Next question. Blank when necessary to avoid surprising the driver ahead.
Dude, I know the answer, but I'm not making animal sounds.
Oh, Tony.
Hey, it's tap your horn. You should tap your horn when necessary to warn drivers you're passing them.
That's right, but I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah, I'm a team player, but I got to draw the line somewhere.
Understood. Okay, last question in our mini lightning round. Avoid blank when you return to your original lane.
Oh, moo. Avoid dogs and cats.
but no, avoid doing what?
Jumping back into that lane too quickly. Be sure you can see the other car in your rearview mirror.
Exactly right, and you get extra credit for the rear view mirror deal. Let's talk about how to pass safely on a 2-lane road. First, make sure there's enough distance between you and the car in front of you so you can see clearly ahead. Check your rear view and side mirrors. Turn your head and look back to make sure somebody's not passing you. Then give your left signal.
Then you should take off and speed around him.
Not quite. Check well ahead for any no passing zone signs in oncoming cars. Be sure you have enough time and space to overtake the car you're about to pass and hop back into your lane before an approaching car comes within 200 feet of you. What's next?
Tap the horn?
Yes. Then pass on what side?
The left.
And when do you get back to the right lane?
When you safely cleared the car in front of you, check the rearview mirror, as Kathy so astutely said previously.
I'm the queen.
That you are. Then what?
Give your right signal and jump back into your lane in front of the pokey car. And then, oh, please, dear Lord, turn off your signal when you're done.
Returning to the occasional passing on the right opportunity. In Texas and many other states, you can legally pass on the right if conditions permit you to do so safely, such as the road is clear of parked vehicles or other things and is wide enough for 2 or more lanes in each direction. When else?
When you're on a one-way street.
That's right. Is it ever okay to pass on a paved shoulder, Tony?
I think so. Like if the car you're about to pass is slowing down or stopping on the main traveled portion of the highway, or the guy's having car trouble, or he's turning left.
Right. But don't ever pass on the right by driving off the paved portion of the highway. Now, What about somebody passing you? I know it makes you real mad.
I hate it when somebody passes me. I feel like I ought to make a sign that says, "I'm sorry, I was searching my iPod."
I hate it too.
So, what do? Speed up?
No, don't speed up. Let them go around you and stay in your lane.
That's right. Now, when you're being passed on the left, like normal, and the lanes aren't marked, what should you do?
I don't know. Stay your course and don't freak out.
No, I know. Move as far to the right as you can without falling off into the ditch.
That's right. Boys and girls, make it safe and easy for someone to pass you.
Hey, here's something I want to talk about, the blind spot. You know, that place on the road that rear view mirrors can't show? You should get out of that, shouldn't you?
That's a good one, yes. You should either pass the other driver or drop back. When you pass a car, go through his blind spot as quickly as you can. Approach with caution, but once you're alongside, speed up and get by quickly.
I'm so proud. I brought up a good topic.
Yes, you did. Now, here's another, right of way.
This is always confusing to me. I mean, what can you do when you're in the right, but someone doesn't respect that?
Well, here's the rule of thumb. There are rules to help determine when one driver is supposed to yield to the other. But if the other driver doesn't follow those rules, give them the right of way. Just because something's legal doesn't mean it's safe. Right-of-way is something to be given, not taken.
Yeah, but...
No, but nothing. Drivers should know and understand the rules that determine right-of-way. Graveyards are filled with people who had the right-of-way.
Yeah, that kind of gave me chill bumps. I'm needing a sweater right now.
Well, it is chilling, but that's true. Now, let's discuss some of the signs and signals that can help us make the road a safer place. Let's start with intersections, specifically when a two-lane road intersects with a multiple-lane road. When you're the guy on the two-lane road, you've got to yield to vehicles traveling on a divided street or roadway, and vehicles traveling on a roadway with 3 or more lanes. In other words, little roads yield to bigger roads. Drivers on unpaved roads yield to
drivers on a paved road.
Right, ladies. Now, let's talk about intersections where there aren't signs or signals, multiple lanes, or pavement.
So, like my driveway?
You've got to yield to any car that entered the intersection on your right or is approaching the intersection from your right. If the road to your right is clear, or if approaching vehicles are far enough from the intersection to make crossing safe, then you may proceed. If you're making a left turn, who do you yield to?
Well, kind of everybody. Anyone who's coming straight and would T-bone your car.
Right. Talk to me now about private roads and driveways. Who do you yield to as you back out or pull forward into a road, street, or highway?
Kind of everybody again.
Right. What about a T intersection?
What's that?
Well, it's when you're approaching an intersection of a through street from a street that ends at an intersection.
Oh, well, duh, you yield to the through street. Do people really not know this stuff?
There's always someone that didn't get the memo. Now, let's talk about people on the service road or access road and people on the highway. Who yields to whom?
The access road driver yields to drivers getting on the highway and drivers coming off the highway. Sad day for service road drivers.
Well, here's a common mistake. When somebody is exiting the highway, all the lanes of the access road must yield, not just the closest one to the highway.
Been guilty of that one. I thought as long as he could get off and stay in the left lane, he was good.
Nope. All lanes must yield. Okay, listen to this carefully. This is tangled up wording. On a divided roadway with 3 or more lanes going the same direction, a vehicle entering a lane of traffic from the right shall yield the right-of-way to a vehicle entering the same lane of traffic from the left.
I think I got that. The car on the right coming into a lane you want to move over to should yield the right-of-way to that lane. You're on the highway and you're a couple of lanes over and somebody's coming onto the highway. The nice thing to do is to let them come on. Don't hop over into the lane that they're pulling into.
I've wondered about that too. Wife, what an interesting and informative course.
No, you didn't mean that sarcastically.
Actually, I had wondered who had the right-of-way in that instance.
Okay. Railroad grade crossings. When you approach a railroad crossing, you've got to stop within 50 feet, but no closer than 15 feet from the nearest rail if...
Chuck, we have Lex on line 2.
Okay. All right, let's take a caller. Hello, Lex. You're on the air with our panel.
Hi, Lex.
Oh, yeah. Hello, this is Lex Rittenauer. Long-time caller, first-time listener.
Yes, Lex, welcome. We're looking for times when drivers should stay between 15 and 50 feet of a railroad crossing.
Well, I would say if you sees a train a-coming.
Yeah, that's a very important one. You want to keep going?
Sure, I'm on a roll. When them arms come down, like them signal arms.
That's right. Others?
Well, maybe there's not an arm down, but there's a flashing light like he's in the Twilight Zone or something.
Yes, well, there's a clearly visible railroad signal warning of an approaching train.
Yeah, okay, I gotta go. This is a whole lot of fun.
He was interesting. Whew, one more panel?
I kind of have a little crush on Lex. He was a manly man. But back on track, get it? I would only add to Lex's fine list if you hear a loud, obnoxious train signal and it's close. Don't race that train. Even if you make it, you'll have to go change your pants.
That's right, Judy. A person who fails to obey the laws regarding railroad grade crossings is subject to a fine of not less than $50 or more than $200. Here's the train deal. Never stop on railroad tracks. Trains do not and cannot stop at crossings. They always have the right of way.
You don't have to holler. We get it.
Sorry. But trains are big and dangerous. When one train goes by, don't fly across the tracks. Make sure there's not another train coming, maybe on another track you couldn't see because of the first train.
Surely this isn't a problem. I mean, we all saw The Fugitive.
Texas had 88 people die because of rail accidents. 530 were injured.
We have learned our lesson.
Right, next up, right-of-way for emergency vehicles. Get out of the way of police cars, fire trucks, ambulances, or other emergency vehicles that are sounding a siren, a bell, flashing a red light. What should you do, Tony?
Pull over to the side of the road?
Right. What if you can't get over?
That happened to me once. There was no way to get over to the shoulder.
If the road is congested, slow down and leave a clear path for the emergency vehicle. Also, do not follow within 500 feet of a fire truck answering an alarm or an ambulance when the flashing red lights are on.
So, should you just haul up and stop in the middle of the road?
No. If a fire truck or other vehicle is coming, lights and sirens, you should give him a path. Vacate the lane closest to the vehicle. If you can't vacate, slow down to 20 miles per hour less than the posted speed limit. Now, if you're on a fairly busy road where the speed limit is 25 or more...
Well, what if the speed limit is less, like in a neighborhood?
Good. Slow down to 5 miles an hour. Now let's talk about school buses. What do you do if you approach a school bus with flashing red lights from either direction?
Stop!
For how long?
Until the bus starts driving again?
Yes. When else?
When the driver signals you to come on?
Yes, again. And when the red lights are no longer flashing. Now, Tony, is there a time when you're meeting or passing a bus when you don't have to stop?
Well, if it's on a different road, I guess. Or when the bus is on a highway with on and off ramps and the kids getting off of it aren't allowed to cross.
Right you are. And failure to obey right-of-way laws regarding school buses will cost you at least $500 and as much as $1,200. A second offense within 5 years is punishable by a minimum fine of $1,000 and a maximum fine of $2,000. And this is important. Texas cities are putting video cameras on buses to record vehicles whose drivers are breaking the law. Now, moving along. Let's talk about the right-of-way and pedestrians. Judy, when should you yield to pedestrians?
Well, I have to yield to pedestrians anytime one is in the road because I don't care whether they really have the right-of-way or not. I'd never be able to put my head on the pillow again if I hit one.
That's actually very good thinking. Your vehicle is, like it or not, a deadly weapon. You should always keep an eye out for pedestrians and, well, not hit them, but especially when?
When they're in a crosswalk or an intersection with no lights or signs.
Good. When else? Come on, this is easy. Nobody? When they have a walk signal or a green light.
Oh, yes, but I still say you don't ever have the right-of-way no matter how many pedestrians cross the street. Have you ever tried to drive in a college town?
Agreed. Yield to folks on foot. And here's Mike.
Make up your mind before you get to the turning point. Never make a last-minute turn. It's too dangerous. Look behind and to both sides to see where other vehicles are before you change lanes. Move into the proper lane as soon as possible. If you can't get into the proper lane at least 1/2 block before your turn, then you miss the turn and continue straight. Give the proper turn signal at least 100 feet before you make the turn. If using hand signals, signal until you are close enough to the turn so other drivers know what you intend to do, then use both hands to turn. Slow down to a reasonable turning speed. Do not use the brake or clutch while actually turning. Make the turn correctly. Finish the turn in the proper lane.
That was an impressive display of turning knowledge. I'm delighted. Let's talk specifically about right turns for a minute. You should start signaling for a lane change and, when it's safe, move your vehicle over to the far right lane. Begin your right turn signal and slow down at least 100 feet from the corner. Look both ways. Keep close as possible to the right edge of the road. Turn using both hands on the wheel. Now, for left turns, they start out basically the same. Right, panel?
Oh,
That
yeah,
is what I'm sitting here thinking. You bet.
Start giving your signal well before you plan to turn. But then you move to the center lane and start slowing down at least 100 feet from the corner. What then?
Look in all directions.
Indeed. Stay to the right of the center line as you enter the intersection. Now, this is important. What about oncoming cars approaching from the opposite direction?
Yield, yield, yield. Do not race out in front of that car.
Good. What about bicycles?
Yield to them too.
Right. Complete the turn to the right of the center line of the road into which you're turning by entering the lane in which you'll interfere least with other traffic.
Can we talk about turning on one-way streets? I don't feel like I know the rules.
Well, if you're turning left from a one-way street onto a two-way street, turn from the left lane. If you're turning the opposite, and I mean turning left from a two-way street onto a one-way street, enter the one-way street in the far left lane.
I think I would have done that automatically.
Well, some of this stuff is second nature, and some of it seems to confuse people every day. Better safe than at the pound with your insurance soaring.
Word.
Let's talk a bit about times when a driver needs to stop. Tony, obvious answer.
When his brakes fail and he goes over a cliff. Just kidding. When he comes to a big old red stop sign with STOP in white letters.
You are correct, sir. Also, there can be yellow stop signs with black letters. When else should a driver stop?
Maybe before crosswalks or intersections or stop lines.
Yes, but don't block pedestrian crosswalk. Also, to stop at these places means you bring your car to a complete stop. Slowing down is not enough, and if you stop behind another stopped vehicle, you must make another stop when you get up to that line, if there is one, or before entering the intersection if there's not.
And the dreaded four-way or all-way stop means you all have to stop at it. All cars coming up to the intersection. Oh, I hate four-way stops. I'm always thinking about stuff when I pull up, and I never know when it's my turn.
Well, at least you recognize your problem.
Yes, my name is Judy, and I'm a person who doesn't know when it's her turn at an all-way stop.
Hi, Judy.
Two or more vehicles arrive at a four-way stop from different directions at the same time. Yield the right-of-way to the vehicle on your right. Okay, panel, it's time to discuss speed and speed limits. Tell me what these drivers are doing wrong.
I like to drive a lot slower than everybody else on the road. That way I'm sure not to get a ticket.
Grandma Moses, get off the road. Get your nephew to take you to the store. Okay, you should go basically the same speed as the mainstream of traffic.
Good. How about this guy?
Gee, I don't know how fast I'm going. I just watch for a cop and slow down.
That guy lives on my street. No. You should always be aware of how fast you're driving, and you've got to obey the speed limit. Well, sometimes it's safer to drive with the flow, faster or slower than the posted limit.
That's right. Go with the flow. Now, what's wrong with this driver's thinking?
I don't know how far behind the car in front of me I'm supposed to drive. I just try not to let our bumpers touch.
Oh, you should always keep a safe distance from the car in front of you, and the faster you go, the farther back you should be.
Right, because you have to have room to stop if they slam on their brakes.
Okay. When should you slow down, Tony?
When the road is wet. It's hard to hang on to your car if the roads are even a little bit wet.
Good. Other times?
Well, when the road is crowded, like rush hour, not that you have a choice.
Ladies?
Nothing's jumping into my head about this one.
Well, okay. When you can't see too well, like there's fog or something else that's limiting your vision?
Yes. You should always be able to stop within the distance that you can see ahead of your car. What about your physical state, Judy?
Well, I would say that if you're tired or sick, you shouldn't get behind the wheel. And if you have to, go slowly enough to give yourself a little help making snap decisions.
Yes, panel, all good thoughts. Ready to talk about traffic signals. Panel, I know you all know this, but traffic signals are there to help provide for the orderly movement of traffic. When is the one time you get to ignore traffic signals?
When a cop is directing traffic. Unless I'm wrong, you have to obey an officer of the law even if he's telling you to do something that's ordinarily against the law, like run a red light.
Good. Now, anyone, what does a steady red light mean?
That you're in an area of town known for...
I'm going to stop you, Kathy, dear, because I think you're headed into a dangerous neighborhood. I mean, what does that tell you about where you can drive and what you can do?
Oh, okay, I get it. Well, you have to stop.
Indeed. What about turning right?
You can turn right after you've stopped. Oh, and is this right? I've always heard that you can turn left on red if you're on another one-way street. Is that true?
It is. You can turn left on red from a one-way street onto a one-way street.
Okay.
Now, you have to yield to all pedestrians and other traffic lawfully using the intersection, and of course, don't do any of this if it's prohibited by law for some reason. Can anyone tell me when blue reflectors are used?
I've seen them in the road near fire hydrants. I bet they're there to help firemen find hydrants when it's smoky or dark or whatever.
That's the case. What does a yield sign tell you?
It tells you that the road you're on is about to merge with another road ahead and that you have got to slow down or stop if necessary so you can yield right of way to the vehicles on the other road, like on a service road when you've got to yield to cars and trucks exiting the freeway. All the lanes have to yield, as we learned earlier in this very session.
Good answer. Panel, I know you know this, but be sure to be extremely careful when we're in school zones. If there's a speed zone showing on a sign that has a yellow light flashing, go that speed or slower. Now, what about guide signs?
Do you mean like signs that tell you stuff? Not necessarily traffic rules or cautions, but just information?
Yes. Where are they likely to be most helpful?
I'm always glad to see them when I'm driving in an unfamiliar neighborhood.
They provide info that makes your trip more pleasant. What road you're on, how to get to where you want to go.
Like GPS on a pole.
Kind of. Sometimes you'll see a smaller green sign with white letters on top of a guide sign along the highway. Do you know what that's all about?
It has something to do with where it is on the sign, like right or left, but I can't remember which is which.
If the smaller sign is on the top right side of the larger guide sign, the exit for that smaller sign is on the right. A smaller sign on the top left side of the guidance sign means there's a left exit for that designation. Okay. Now, it's time for a brush-up course about pavement markings.
I know you don't mean graffiti.
You are right. I don't. I mean like broken yellow line. Quick, Tony, what's a broken yellow line down the center of the road mean?
It divides a two-lane, two-way traffic rural road. A driver should keep to the right of the center line. It's okay to cross the broken line, but only when you're passing or the right side of the roadway is closed.
That's right. Don't cross the line if it's not safe. What about a broken white line, Judy?
Oh, God, I knew you were going to call on me. Did you say a broken white line? It divides a one-way, multiple-lane road. You can drive in any lane, and you can cross the line to pass or change lanes, but only when it's safe.
You kids did your homework. Kathy, talk to me about a center lane with two solid yellow lines with two broken lines inside.
Well, Chuck, I would say that is the suicide lane, to be used only for left turns. Never use this lane for passing or as a through lane.
Suicide lane, indeed. What about the solid yellow double line? Anybody?
I got this one. It divides a multiple-lane, two-way road. Drivers should not cross this line to pass, and slower traffic should keep in the right lane.
Right again. Solid yellow.
On your side of the road is a no-passing zone. You shouldn't cross this line.
That's right. What about a solid yellow line with a broken yellow line?
I think you're just making stuff up now.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm not. I swear. This is real. Tony, any ideas?
I know you'll be amazed at this, but no, I don't.
No.
Tell us, O guru of the pavement marking.
When the broken yellow line is on your side of the road, you can pass, but only when it's safe. Judy, two thick white lines at intersections.
Pedestrian crossing areas. Stop before the crosswalk.
Good. Kathy, one thick white line cross traffic lanes.
Stop lines?
Yes, ma'am. Stop lines. When these lines are present, you should stop behind the line, leaving the line in front of your vehicle. What about a solid white line at pavement edge?
They're used for edge lines, shoulder marking, channeling, transitions, and lane use control. Don't cross them. And also don't cross double solid white lines, not even when you think it's safe.
Y'all are my traffic heroes. So I bet you wish this was the end of the session. Now we're moving on to construction and maintenance devices, and I have a treat for you today, panel. Because you did so well on that section, I've brought in a guest speaker to tell you a little bit about this part of the program. Please help me welcome Mrs. Janet Fry to the panel. Tell the panel why you're here, Mrs. Fry.
Well, hello, Mr. Host, and hello, panelers.
Well, hello there, Mrs. Fry. That's lovely.
I'm a member of the PTA at Windshear Elementary out by the airport, and I'm here because we moms and dads are trying to help spread the word about traffic safety by volunteering in different places. And so I drew your show out of a hat, and here I am.
We're happy to have you, and happy you PTA members are spreading the good word.
I am happy to help. Okay, here goes. I'm a little nervous. Well, as you'll know, many traffic control devices are used in construction and maintenance work areas. Oh, I forgot to tell you, my husband Mickey is in construction, and that's a super coincidence. Okay, What these devices are for is to direct drivers or pedestrians safely through the work zone and provide for the safety of the highway workers, like my Mickey.
Is she for real?
Orange signs, barricades, drums, not, bongo-type drums, but traffic drums, cones, tubes, flashing arrow panels, and flag persons are the most common traffic control devices in a construction zone. Most signs in work areas are diamond-shaped, and a few are shaped like a rectangle. Are there any questions so far?
Oh, no, sister, you're doing just fine.
Okay, thank you. I was nervous. Now, in a work zone, there can be barricades, vertical panels, drums, cones, and tubes to help guide drivers. The diagonal stripes on the barricade or vertical panel guide the driver toward the direction in which the traffic should pass. Stripes sloping downward and to the right mean the driver should bear to the right of the barricade, and stripes sloping downward and to the left mean the driver should bear, can you guess?
To the left?
Good!
Brown noser.
People carrying flags are provided in highway and street work zones to stop, slow, or guide traffic safely through the area. You must obey flag persons, or they will hunt you down. No, kidding, but traffic fines are doubled when you disobey the laws in construction cones where workers are present.
Good job, Mrs. Fry, and we thank you for coming in today. As Mrs. Fry said, workers must be present, but the work zone also has to have an applicable maximum lawful speed sign posted.
Well, actually, I have a little bit more. Let's talk about pedestrian safety. Us drivers should always pay special attention to anybody walking or riding a bicycle, but there are some safety rules that they should follow too, so we can all work together for happy roadways. Can anybody guess one of the rules?
Well, I think they have to obey signal lights.
That's right.
Yay.
Unless they're otherwise directed by a pedestrian control signal. Others?
They shouldn't cross in the middle of the street.
Right. They shouldn't cross between intersections. That's a big no-no.
You have kids, don't you, Mrs. Fry?
Well, of course I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in the PTA. That's funny. Okay. They should also use sidewalks where there are some, and don't walk in the street. I mean, duh. And walk on the left side of the road if there aren't sidewalks, and step off the pavement when a car approaches.
Mrs. Fry, can you tell me about pedestrians crossing someplace else other than a crosswalk? Shouldn't they yield to oncoming cars?
I'm sorry, I don't see that in my notes.
Oh.
Oh, wait, here it is. Yes, they're supposed to yield right of way to vehicles.
I thought so. Thank you.
Leave that poor woman alone.
Now, in a crosswalk, you're supposed to keep to the right, and blind, partially blind, or disabled persons may carry a white cane while walking. What else? Let me see. Oh, no person may stand in the roadway for the purpose of soliciting a ride, contributions, or business.
Well, what about those firemen with their boots?
Oh, that's okay, because they're collecting for charitable causes and have authorization by the local authority. Pedestrians and bike riders should wait on the curb, not in the street, until traffic signals change to green or walk, and if possible, they should always wear white or light-colored clothing or carry a light or reflector when walking at night. Look both ways before crossing the street and before stepping from behind parked cars. Be extra careful when getting off a streetcar or bus.
Streetcar? Could this be updated?
I thought that too, but there are some historical streetcars in Dallas in the uptown area.
Oh, yeah. Time for a break yet?
Pedestrians should get in and out of cars on the curb side of the road and do not walk on a roadway when you are under the influence or consuming alcoholic beverages. Alcohol is a contributing factor to pedestrian traffic crashes. Okay, well, that's about all I have for y'all today. Thanks for letting me come on the show and help spread the word. Bye now.
Bye, Mrs. Fry, and thanks very much for coming out. Panel. Panel! Okay, wake up, you panelers. We're going to play another lightning round. Tony,
Oh, boy.
let's talk about improved shoulders.
Please note that I am not making a dandruff joke of any kind.
You are growing up. Now, a motorist may drive on an improved shoulder to the right of the main traveled part of the roadway if that operation is necessary and may be done safely, but only to stop, stand, or
How about park?
is right. Next, it's okay to be on an improved shoulder to do what before entering the roadway?
I'm going to say speed up to merge.
Accelerate is right. What about before making a right turn? shoulder can be used for?
Right turn. I don't know.
I do. To decelerate. This is like exiting the freeway, right?
That's right, Judy. But let's be good helpers and wait until it's your turn.
Sorry. I got carried away with the thrill of the lightning
All
sound.
right, back to Tony. To allow another vehicle traveling faster to blank.
To pass?
Correct. As permitted or required by an official blank.
Policeman. Wait, no. An official traffic control device.
Right. Oh, wait, I skipped one. What about another vehicle that is slowing or stopped on the main travel part of the highway, disabled or preparing to make a blank?
Left turn?
Right. And finally, you can get off on the shoulder pretty much any time you need to in order to do what?
To avoid a collision.
Yes, although something tells me you've pulled over under all of these above circumstances.
Why, no.
Okay. Those were all times when it's legal to pull over on the right side of a paved or otherwise improved shoulder. Now, let's talk about when it's okay to drive on a shoulder on the left side of a limited access or controlled access highway if it's safe. There are only 3 instances. Judy, you want this one?
Well, I can only think of one. If you need to slow down or stop because you have car trouble and can't get over to the right.
I've got one, really 2. I bet it's okay to do if there's a device routing that way, or, our old friend, to avoid a car wreck.
Right. Now, a limitation in this section on driving on an improved shoulder does not apply to authorized emergency vehicles responding to a call, a police patrol, or a bicycle. Now, time to move on to the topic of intersections. Intersections, panel.
Okay, bring it on. Yes.
Time to brush up on the rules. Why are there so many wrecks?
Well, there are so many variables. I mean, cars are coming in from as many as 4 directions, and there might be stopped cars. They're slowing down or speeding up. People run red lights.
Yes, and drivers are changing lanes or even running red lights, or pedestrians or drivers who are trying to enter moving traffic. Lots of unpredictable situations.
That's right. And so it's up to you and all of y'all listening to be defensive drivers and anticipate what might happen. Like when you're approaching an intersection, try to enter the correct lane for what you plan to do way before you actually need to. Give yourself some time and be sure to use your signals. You should also watch for caution signs in case there are any special circumstances in a given intersection.
Like what?
Well, like turn restrictions, pedestrian crossings, or construction. You should be careful because signs get knocked down. Beware of the drivers ahead of you. And what else should you folks be careful about in intersections?
Unfortunately, they should watch for other vehicles changing lanes abruptly. Somebody's always sideswiping somebody else in my neighborhood. Stay out of other drivers' blind spot where they can't see you in their rear and side view mirrors.
I'm guilty about this, and in fact, I got a ticket once doing this. Don't climb up on the rear end of the vehicle in front of you. I accidentally rolled into the back of a car at an intersection once.
You should also keep your eyes on brake lights or turn signals. Most drivers really will tell you what they're about to do.
These are all good ideas. When you're about to turn right and you've checked to your left, always look to the right once more before taking off. Vehicles ahead of you may stop for pedestrians crossing the street.
I did this too once. I thought a car was turning right on red, and I did the same thing, but he had stopped. Somebody behind hit me, and I had a whiplash.
Judy, you are a textbook.
I've learned my lessons.
Of course, watch for pedestrians in all directions before making a turn, and keep an eye out for all cyclists going straight through the intersection, either on your right or on the sidewalk. Now, what about devices that might distract you?
Mess with your radio, your stereo, your CD player, whatever you have, and don't dial your cell phone in an intersection.
Yes, ma'am. Inattention is a common cause of crashes. Now, if vehicles are stopped at an intersection with no signs, use extra caution when approaching. They're usually stopped for a reason.
Also, and this goes back to my previous ticket, don't tailgate. You never know when the person ahead may turn or stop. Especially don't ride too close behind big old trucks. You can't see around them, and you can't see the traffic lights ahead, and you might accidentally go out into the intersection when the light is red.
I hate getting stuck behind a truck at a light, even if it's got something I'm using scratched into the dust on the back. Okay, so we're about to cross an intersection.
You are about to cross an intersection. You should always watch for cross traffic. Whether you mean to do this or not, if you run a red light, that's one of the leading causes of crashes. What else?
Shouldn't you be alert to traffic from the opposite direction turning across your lane? Even though you may have the right of way, some intersections allow left turns without a green arrow.
Right. What about yellow lights? Safe to race?
Well, the right answer is probably no. You're not supposed to race a yellow line, but I always thought it was safe to go ahead.
No, you shouldn't race a yellow. Don't assume you're safe crossing on a yellow light. And always stop behind the marked stop line or crosswalk. Keep your wheels straight and your foot on the brake while you wait.
I know why your wheels are supposed to be straight. The trooper giving me my driver's test told me this. It's because if somebody hits you from behind and your wheels are turned, they could send you flying into oncoming traffic.
Like I said, your life is a textbook.
I have been on the road for a number of years.
What else?
You shouldn't go into the intersection if traffic is backed up and you can't clear the intersection. You could get stuck in the middle if the traffic doesn't move soon enough.
Good one. What about changing lanes?
Not good to do in an intersection. If you're not in the right lane that you need to be in, wait until after you've cleared the intersection before getting over.
I never knew that. Learn something new every defensive driving course.
Here's something you may have missed. If you come upon a traffic light that isn't working, treat it as an always stop. And when you get to where you're going, call officials and tell them they have a disabled signal. Okay? Now it's time to wrinkle up our shirts and talk about occupant restraints or seat belts. Be annoyed about having to wear a seat belt if you will, but they save lives. Seat belts save approximately 13,000 lives in the United States each year. An estimated 7,000 U.S. car accident deaths would have been avoided if the victims had been wearing belts.
I used to hate wearing a seatbelt, but I don't anymore. I'm uncomfortable until I buckle up. It just feels weird.
And that's good, because being thrown from a moving vehicle is the number one cause of death in car crashes. Staying inside the vehicle is your best chance for survival, and that's what seatbelts are designed to do. By the time you need a seatbelt, it's too late to put one on, so start your trip with all occupants wearing their seatbelts. Let's go to the imaginary chalkboard and list something seatbelts can do. Kathy?
Besides keeping you from being thrown from a car?
Yes, but let me say this. Your chances of being killed are 5 times greater if you get thrown from your car.
Whoa, okay. Let's see. They keep you from hitting the dashboard too hard.
And I would think they just help you stay in better control of the car. If you stay put, you've got your hands on the steering wheel and your feet where they need to be.
Yep, and yep. Now, in this section, we're going to jump around a little bit and touch on some random subjects, starting with anatomical gifts or donating organs in the event of your death.
This may sound like a punchline ready to be written, but I feel pretty strongly about this. Unless I'm mistaken, anybody of sound mind who is 18 years of age or older can donate some parts or all of his body.
That's right, Tony, but there are steps to take to make sure your wishes are carried out. An anatomical gift can only be made by a document of gift signed by the donor, who may designate a particular physician or surgeon to carry out the appropriate procedures, or by a will. Now, if you change your mind, you can revoke anatomical gift either orally or through a signed written statement. Delivery of the document of gift during the lifetime of the donor doesn't need to happen. The rules are different in different states, but in Texas, a person who has testamentary capacity under the Texas Probate Code may give all or part of a person's body for the purpose specified by that person.
This is creepy. Important, but creepy.
Yep.
I just renewed my driver's license online, and I saw where you could sign up to be a donor right there. It's easy to do.
Okay. Then let's talk about litter prevention.
Man, we are topic hopping.
The Texas Department of Transportation, affectionately known by all as TxDOT, spent approximately $47 million in 2012 to pick up litter. A growing population makes prevention key to solving the problem.
We all know about the Don't Mess with Texas campaign, which, unless I'm mistaken, started educating Texans in 1986.
Right. TxDOT's litter prevention program includes Adopt a Highway and a grassroots partnership with Keep Texas Beautiful. But the problem's not gone. While roadside litter has dropped, 1 out of 4 Texans still admit to littering. Approximately 434 million pieces of litter accumulate on Texas roadways each year.
Now, that's just nasty.
What's the most common kind of litter, do you think?
It's got to be cigarettes.
You are. Tobacco trash is the most common form of litter found on Texas roadsides, and it's no wonder. 62% of Texas smokers admit to tossing their butts out the window. Here's a gross tidbit. It can take a cigarette butt up to 20 years to decompose because of the plastic in the filter.
Ooh, that's just really nasty. I would think fast food wrappers are going out of plenty of windows, too, though.
And you'd be right. More than 1/4, or really closer to 29%, of all litter items have something to do with food, either fast food wrappers or candy wrappers.
I read that litter can harm animals if they get caught in plastic 6-ring packs, that drinks come in and can choke on anything, especially gum or cigarette butts.
Who knows what current fines for littering are in Texas?
A couple of $100, I bet.
Actually, you can be fined up to $500 for littering in Texas each time. Over 5 pounds or 5 gallons, and the fine is $2,000 each time.
Ouch, no thanks.
Here's a common misconception. 40% of Texans believe prisoners are responsible for cleaning up Texas highways. They are not. We are.
They are too busy cranking out those license plates.
Now get this. If every litterer in Texas picked up just 6 pieces of trash every month, our highways would be completely litter-free.
I wonder who figures stuff like that out.
Well, not me. I just share it with you and our audience.
Mm-hmm.
All right. New topic. Law enforcement and emergency vehicles. Tony, talk to me about what is common between a fire engine and an ambulance.
Both red? No, wait. Ambulances can be any color. 2 red lights on the front and back, and both have a siren?
Well, yes, that's right. A volunteer fireman who's driving a personal vehicle may have 1 red light on the vehicle roof. Now, what about a police car?
They have a siren or other signal you can hear and may have lights that are any color, right? I mean, not Christmas lights, but, red, white, or blue, or yellow.
Right. A new law that went into effect in 2013 adds emergency medical, blood, and organ, state and health services, public and private ambulances, volunteer fire or ambulance and federal government law enforcement vehicles.
So, to be safe, if it has flashing lights and or a siren going on it, yield.
You got that right. Now, when an emergency vehicle approaches you, what do you do?
Well, if they're using their lights and sirens or just a siren or whatever, you're supposed to get out of their way, get as close as you can to the right-hand edge or curve of the road, clear of an intersection, and stop until it's gone by.
Didn't I just say that?
Exactly right, Kathy. Now, when you approach a stopped emergency vehicle, including tow trucks and TxDOT vehicles that have lights activated, unless an officer tells you different, you should get out of the lane closest to the vehicle if the highway has 2 or more lanes traveling the same direction as the vehicle, or what else, Tony?
I don't know. I thought that was it. Pull over.
If the posted speed limit is 25 miles per hour or more, you can slow down to a speed that is not more than 20 miles an hour less than the posted speed limit.
So if the speed limit is 55, you have to slow down to 35 or slower.
Yes. And when the speed limit is less than 25 miles an hour, slow down to 5 miles an hour. If you fail to do this, you could be given a fine of up to $200 or as much as $500 if property damage results from you failing to slow down. And if bodily injury results, offense is enhanced to a Class B misdemeanor.
I'm not in the mood for that ever.
Let me make sure that I've got this right. When I see emergency lights ahead of me while driving and can't move over a lane away from the emergency vehicle, I have to slow down at least 20 miles per hour below the limit.
Correct. And when you're on a street that's 25 miles or less, slow down to 5 miles per hour until after you pass them. Now, let's talk about a bit of financial responsibility and compulsory insurance. The Safety Responsibility Act is in place to ensure that all drivers are financially responsible for death, injury, or property damage that they may cause while driving. All owners or operators of cars or trucks in Texas must have at least the minimum amount of liability insurance. Let's double check these figures. Does someone know the minimum liability amounts?
I think it's $25,000 against injury or death of someone.
Correct. And does it just double for injury, death of 2?
Yes.
That's right. And the minimum liability against property damage is $55,000. Now, in order to comply with the SRA, which stands for
Safety Responsibility Act.
Yes.
Sure.
In order to comply, a driver, unless exempt, must have a liability insurance or be self-insured under the provisions of the Act. But you can't just say you're insured. What do you need, Tony?
I played an insurance agent in Death of a Sales Agent, so I know this. Proof of insurance. And you have to present that when you apply for a driver's license or register your motor vehicle or have your vehicle inspected. Every operator of a motor vehicle in Texas is required to furnish proof of financial responsibility to any officer of the law or other driver involved in a crash. Here's what you have to have. A liability insurance policy in at least the minimum amounts we just talked about, or a standard proof of liability insurance form issued by a liability insurer that includes the name of the insurer, the policy number and period, and the name and address of each person who's insured. It also has to have the policy limits or a statement that the coverage complies with at least the minimum amounts of the liability insurance required by the Act and the make and model of each covered vehicle, and insurance binder that indicates the owner and or operator is in the compliance with the Act and a certificate or copy of one issued by the state comptroller that shows the owner of the vehicle has on deposit money or securities in the amount of $55,000.
Wow. Sounds like it's just simpler to have insurance.
It is.
But wait, there's more. Or he must have a surety bond issued by the DPS that shows the vehicle is one that has a bond on file with the department. Time for a short video. Watch it because we have to ask a question about it to be sure you watch it and have fun.
Funny thing about smartphones, they can't tell us when you have finished a section. So log onto the website now and take the quiz, and after you pass, we'll start the clock for the next section. This section also contains video media. If you have previously downloaded the media to your device as an audio podcast or a video podcast, then please watch the video now. If you have already watched it, clicking on the continue button will take you directly to the quiz. The quiz does have questions pertaining to the video, so be sure to watch it in its entirety.
Driver education, the rules of the road. Driving is a privilege that affords you a great deal of freedom. Roads span our country, just waiting to take you wherever you want to go. However, automobile accidents are a leading cause of death in the United States. To ensure that your car does not become a deadly weapon, you must be aware of the rules of the road. In this program, we'll familiarize you with signs, signals, and roadway markings, and we'll tell you what to do when you encounter them. Then we'll explore some general driving rules, and we'll explain how to share the road with various types of vehicles. Signs, signals, and roadway markings. It is important to become familiar with the many signs, signals, and other markings that are used to control traffic. Signs may serve to regulate, to warn, or to guide traffic. Regulatory signs help to regulate traffic by informing drivers about laws and restrictions that exist for their safety. Stop signs are probably the most recognizable regulatory signs. When approaching a stop sign on any street where you are traveling, slow your vehicle and then come to a complete stop for 2 to 3 seconds before proceeding. At yield signs, you must slow your vehicle to check for traffic on the street. If a vehicle is coming, you must stop and let it proceed. Speed limit signs tell you the maximum safe speed for the roadway on which you are traveling. These are often accompanied by minimum speed limit and or nighttime speed limit signs. Other regulatory signs denote one-way streets, control parking and passing, and direct traffic to turn or to go straight. Warning signs serve to warn people about a potential hazard and are usually bright yellow in color so that they can be recognized quickly. Diamond-shaped warning signs alert you to danger ahead, such as a sharp curve, a change in the flow of traffic, or an upcoming intersection. When you see any one of these, be prepared to slow or to stop. A no passing sign is triangular and appears at the start of an area where passing is hazardous. The no passing message is reinforced by the presence of a solid yellow line on the roadway. Railroad crossing signs are round and have an X and the letters RR on them. When you see one of these signs, be prepared to stop for an approaching train on the tracks ahead. It is also very important that you heed school zone signs and school crossing signs, which have a pentagonal shape. Because children may dash out in front of your vehicle at any moment, It is up to you to drive slowly and to be aware. Construction signs may be orange or yellow, and they serve to alert traffic to construction or to direct traffic around a construction zone. Guide signs provide information, and the shape and color of a guide sign indicates the type of information provided. Interstate routes are designated by red, white, and blue shield-shaped signs. State and U.S. highways are indicated by black and white signs. Green signs provide information about the distances to and locations of certain cities. Blue signs alert drivers to services ahead, such as food, gas, lodging, hospitals, or campgrounds. Recreation areas or cultural points of interest are identified by brown signs. Traffic signals are used to help traffic flow smoothly. These may be one of three colors: red, yellow, or green, or they may combine these colors. In simplest terms, red means stop, yellow means caution, and green means go. Traffic lights which control intersections usually exhibit all of these colors. When you are driving toward an intersection, constantly scan the area ahead of you to make sure that the way is clear to proceed. Be prepared to stop if the light turns yellow. If the light is already yellow when you approach the intersection, try to stop safely. You could be hit by cross traffic if you are in the intersection as the light turns red. Sometimes, however, it is better to go through the intersection on a yellow light than to slam on your brakes to stop, because sudden stops can result in collisions with those behind you. Flashing traffic signals require a different procedure. If you see a flashing red light at an intersection ahead, you must come to a complete stop before proceeding, just as you would at a stop sign. If the flashing light is yellow, slow your vehicle before you reach the light and proceed with caution after you ascertain that the path is clear. You may also encounter green, yellow, or red arrow signals. These arrows signal to a driver when it is safe to turn at an intersection in a procedure called a protected turn. Most states allow drivers to make a right turn on red at intersections that are controlled by traffic lights. In this situation, the driver puts on his right turning signal, stops at the red light, waits for a break in traffic, and executes a right turn. Roadway markings consist of lines, words, or figures that are painted on the roadway. One of the most important types of roadway markings is lines that are painted in the center of the road. These divide the road into lanes and control passing. If the lines are white, the road allows only one-way traffic. Yellow lines in the center of the road indicate that the road's traffic is two-way, or that it travels in both directions. If the yellow line is dashed or broken, it indicates that passing is allowed. If one of the two lanes of traffic is not allowed to pass, a solid yellow line appears on that lane's side, while a dashed line is on the side of the lane that may pass. A solid double yellow line indicates that neither lane of traffic may pass. There are many basic rules you should know before you get behind the wheel. Most injuries sustained during collisions are caused by the force of a body hitting the dashboard, windshield, or steering wheel. A seat belt can help to keep your body in a safe position and often makes the difference between life and death. Tailgating or following another driver very closely is not only annoying, it is dangerous. If the first driver must stop suddenly or dodge debris in the road, the tailgater will not have adequate time to react, and he or she may cause a wreck. If someone is tailgating you, tap your brakes and slow down a little. Do not slam on your brakes or stop, as it is likely that you will be rear-ended. The best way to make sure that you are not tailgating someone else is to follow the 2-second rule. This rule ensures that there is enough room between your car and the one ahead of you and allows sufficient time for you to react to various driving conditions. To follow the 2-second rule, find a fixed object such as a road sign or a distinguishing mark on the road. When the vehicle ahead of you passes this mark, count 1001, 1002. If your car is even with the mark when you finish counting, you are 2 seconds behind the vehicle in front of you, and therefore will have the minimum amount of time needed to stop under normal driving conditions. In traffic, or if you're driving through inclement weather or other adverse conditions, you should increase the 2-second rule to 3 or more seconds. On roads with 2 lanes of traffic traveling in the same direction, the right lane should be used for driving and the left lane reserved for passing. Signs reading "Slower traffic, keep right" are often posted on interstates because slow traffic in the left lanes can cause clogged highways and traffic flow problems. Traffic should yield to others who have the right-of-way or the right to proceed. It is important to learn the rules governing right-of-way. Pedestrians always have the right-of-way, no matter what. At 2-way stops, those with stop signs must yield to traffic on the cross street. The first person to arrive at a 4-way stop has the right-of-way. If 2 vehicles arrive at exactly the same time, the one on the right has the right-of-way. If drivers are unsure, one may signal to another that he or she may proceed first. Traffic on a smaller street must yield right-of-way to traffic on a larger street, even if there are no signs or signals to direct them to do so. Always yield right-of-way to emergency vehicles by stopping or pulling over so that they may proceed quickly and safely. Passing other cars can be dangerous, so certain precautions must be taken. On a 2-lane road, make sure that you are not in a no-passing zone before you attempt to pass. If passing is allowed, check the oncoming traffic lane for any vehicles, and make sure there are no sharp curves or hills ahead that could limit visibility. Then turn on your left signal and proceed to pass the vehicle ahead of you by moving into the other lane. When you can see the front of that vehicle in your rearview mirror, and after you have assured yourself that the lane to your right is clear, turn on your right signal, return to that lane, and then turn your signal off. Before changing lanes to pass on a multi-lane road, it is particularly important to turn your head to check any blind spots. Following the rules of the road is not optional. Before you begin planning that road trip, or even before going to the grocery store, take the time to become familiar with these guidelines. They not only make driving easier, they can save your life.